The Gita especially is spoken to a warrior in the midst of a war field. So Dhritarashtra is sitting in Hastinapur along with his secretary Sanjaya, and Sanjaya has the divine vision by the mercy of his guru Vyasdev, through which he can understand what is happening on the warfield of Kurukshetra. And Dhritarashtra wants to get a live commentary from Sanjaya. Now we are speaking about 5,000 years ago, when it was like one family. See, Dhritarashtra and Pandu, they were brothers. The nature, the hallmark of a conditioned mind, of a mind which is materialistic, is to divide.
Oh, I see. It's not the mind which is divided, the mind wants to divide.
The mind wants to divide.
Namaste and welcome, dear friends. I warmly invite you to join me on an extraordinary journey, an immersive pilgrimage through the 700 radiant verses of the Bhagavad Gita, a timeless guide to life, purpose, and inner peace. I am honored to be accompanied on this path by Prabhuji Gopinath Chandra, a revered Vedanta scholar and master teacher of the Gita. Prabhuji's deep understanding of this divine conversation, coupled with his remarkable ability to interweave the wisdom of the Srimad Bhagavatam and other Vedic scriptures, brings the subtle nuances of the Gita alive. Prabhuji is also the author of a profound work on the power of Karma Yoga, where he illuminates the subtle art of letting go, even while pursuing a life of meaning and purpose. As for me, I am a humble seeker, a late entrant into this vast ocean of wisdom and knowledge. I come with curiosity and reverence, and I know my questions and, of course, occasional stumbles will reflect the learning journey I am on. I ask your indulgence in advance as I walk this path with you under Prabhuji's compassionate guidance. Together, let us explore the eternal truths of the Bhagavad Gita and discover how its ancient wisdom holds answers for our modern day problems and dilemmas. Welcome aboard. Thank you. Pranam, friends. Welcome to our journey through the timeless wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita with Swami Gopinath Chandra Das. I am Deepak Gupta, and today we begin where the Gita itself begins, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, where two armies stand ready for war. The first chapter, called Arjuna Vishada Yoga, or the Yoga of Arjuna's grief, sets the stage for Krishna's profound teachings. But before we actually begin on this journey, I just wanted to narrate a small incident from our history. You know, in the midst of World War II, Mahatma Gandhi was advising a troubled man who was consumed by guilt. This man had, in a moment of panic during violent riots, hidden himself while his young son was left outside and killed. Now, overcome with remorse, he came to Mahatma Gandhi asking how he could find peace. Gandhi quietly handed him the Bhagavad Gita, opening to chapter 2, verse 47, the famous verse 47, where Krishna says to Arjuna, "You have the right to perform your actions, but you're not entitled to the fruits of your action." Gandhi explained, "Find yourself in Arjuna, standing on your own battlefield of impossible choices and overwhelming emotions. Your path forward isn't through escaping your duty or being consumed by the outcome, but by understanding the nature of action itself. The man studied Gita deeply for months. He later wrote to Gandhi that he had found not forgiveness, but something far, far more valuable: understanding. He realized that, like Arjuna, he stood at the intersection of terrible choices, and that his healing would come not from erasing the past, but from how he chose to live forward. So today, as we begin this journey with Swamiji, I invite you to bring your own battlefield questions, your dilemmas, your doubts, your struggles. And like Arjuna, by having the courage to ask these questions, you've already taken the first step on the path to wisdom. Pranam, Prabhuji.
Pranam.
So, before we begin our journey through the Gita with Swamiji, a lot of people wonder, why start with the Gita? Yeah, why start with the Bhagavad Gita? Among all the profound spiritual texts within the Vedantic, tradition, why should it be the Bhagavad Gita that a common man like me should start with?
See, there are various reasons why it makes sense to begin with the Bhagavad Gita. First of all, in the Gita Mahatmya, it is explained, Sarvopanishado Gavo Dogda Gopala Nandana Partho Vatsah Sudhir Bhokta Dugdam Gita Amritam Mahat. So, the entire gamut of Vedic literature is compared to a cow here.
I see.
See, the essence of the Vedas is contained in the Upanishads.
Mm-hmm.
So the Upanishads, Sarvopanishado, so all the Upanishads, they're compared to a cow. And the essence of the cow is the milk.
Okay.
So Sarvopanishado Gavo, Dogda Gopala Nandana. And Gopala Nandana, Sri Krishna, is compared to the Gwala,
Mm-hmm.
the cowherd boy who is milking this cow of the Upanishads.
Okay.
And he's extracting this milk of the Bhagavad Gita.
Oh, I see.
So the Gita Mahatmya explains how the Gita contains the essence of all Upanishads.
Mm.
And then it goes further to explain Partho Vatsaha Sudhir Bhokta.
Mm-hmm.
Partha, Arjun, is compared to a calf.
Okay.
Vatsaha.
Okay.
See, when, I'm not sure whether you're used to, the idea of milking cows.
Mm-hmm.
Where traditionally when a cow is milked, the Gwala, the cowherd man, usually has to have a calf.
Yes, yes.
Or else the cow won't release milk.
Correct.
So before you...
And he allows the calf first to milk.
Yes. Absolutely. So similarly, Arjuna is a calf.
Mm-hmm.
So Krishna uses the calf of Arjuna to extract the milk of the Bhagavad Gita from the body of the Upanishad.
Oops.
And so the first person to taste this milk is Arjun. And then the Gita Mahatmya says, Partho Vatsa Sudhir Bhokta. Sudhi. The most intelligent people are people who take advantage of the situation and partake of this milk.
Mm.
See, the first person to receive it is Arjuna, and the milk is still available for all of us to partake of it.
Sure.
So, because the Gita contains the essence of all Upanishads, it makes perfect sense to start with the Bhagavad Gita. This is one thing. Another thing is the setting in which the Gita is spoken.
Mm-hmm.
The Gita especially is spoken to a warrior in the midst of a war field.
Battlefield, yes.
See, you can always draw parallel between a war field and today's world, isn't it?
Oh, yes. A boardroom is a war field.
Yeah, absolutely. You're from the corporate world.
Correct.
So you know better than me how the corporate world, there is so much of cutthroat competition out there. So there is so much of competition, and it's like a war field. And for a person who is a part of this world, it makes perfect sense to relate to Arjuna.
Okay.
So the setting in which the Gita is spoken is a warfield, which is like the modern workplace.
Hmm.
And the person to whom the Gita is spoken is a warrior.
Hmm.
It's like a person in the modern workplace who is
Surrounded by competition all
Yes,
over.
all over.
Yes. Yeah.
So from these perspectives, it makes sense to turn to the Bhagavad Gita as a first literature.
Hmm. Hmm. And is it easy to understand since it is, a compendium of, or let's say a summary or a précis of all the various Vedanta literature? Is it easy to understand or it needs to be understood over a period of time?
See, the Gita, it's in a very relatively simpler Sanskrit language.
I see.
As compared to a lot of other Vedic literatures, Gita Sanskrit is very simplistic. And it is deliberately made that way so that it becomes accessible to more and more people.
Okay, I see.
Isn't it? And it's divided into 18 chapters.
Mm-hmm.
And the 18 chapters are divided in such a way that it becomes easy for us to consume step by step by step.
So
by
you
step.
progress from one to the other. It's like climbing a ladder.
It's like climbing
You
a ladder.
solve one problem, then you get on to
Yes.
another one, then you get answers to that, and you move forward.
Yes. For example, the first chapter, it doesn't simply suddenly start with the discussion,
Mm-hmm.
which is very philosophical.
Mm-hmm.
The first chapter begins with setting the scene,
Mm-hmm.
correct? So
that's the boardroom. This is how it looks like.
How it looks like.
What all you can see in the
Yeah.
boardroom.
So the first chapter sets the scene so that it kind of draws in the reader,
Mm-hmm.
so that the reader can connect to what is happening.
Okay.
So the Arjuna's confusion is vividly described in the first chapter.
Mm-hmm.
And then after Arjuna's confusion is described, then Lord Shri Krishna, who is his chariot driver as well as his guide, starts resolving Arjuna's confusion. So the point I'm trying to make here is the Gita proceeds keeping in mind, first of all, it makes Arjuna's dilemma accessible to us so that we can try
to put yourself in his position.
Yes.
And then try and understand the situation.
Yes.
But the first chapter in itself is very interesting. It's less about Arjuna and Lord Krishna. It's more about, in the beginning, Dhritarashtra and Sanjay. Would you want to start with explaining what exactly that means, really?
Yeah. See, from one perspective, the Bhagavad Gita is part of the Mahabharata. Correct? The Mahabharata contains 1 lakh verses. And the Gita comes right in the middle of it, the 700 verses of the Bhagavad Gita. So naturally, when you extract the Bhagavad Gita from the middle of the Mahabharata, some section of the Mahabharata will come along with it. So that's why that conversation between Dhritarashtra and Sanjaya is part of the Bhagavad Gita also, because it's like the Gita is part of the greater Mahabharata. That's okay. But from another philosophical, deeper perspective, if you think about it, the first verse that Dhritarashtra speaks to Sanjaya, the question that he asks his secretary Sanjaya is very, very revealing, and it kind of sets the stage for the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. Because the first verse of the Bhagavad Gita kind of exposes Dhritarashtra's materialistic mind.
I see. What is this verse, if you can explain, Prabhuji?
So in the first verse, Dhritarashtra says, the first verse is Dhritarashtra Uvacha, Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yuyutsavaha Mamaka Pandavaschaiva Kim Akurvata Sanjaya. So Dhritarashtra is sitting in Hastinapur along with his secretary Sanjaya, and Sanjaya has the divine vision by the mercy of his guru Vyasdev, through which he can understand what is happening on the warfield of Kurukshetra. And Dhritarashtra wants to get a live commentary from Sanjaya. What is happening on the warfield of Kurukshetra. And he asks this question, that Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre, in the Dharmakshetra called Kurukshetra, Samaveta Yuyutsavaha, people have assembled for a battle, for a war. And who has assembled? Mamaka Pandavaschaiva. My sons and the sons of Pandu.
I see. Not my relatives, but Someone else's son.
Yes. My sons and the sons of Pandu, Mamaka Pandavaschaiva, Kim Akurvata Sanjaya. What did they do? Now, this question, it doesn't make sense. It's like self-contradictory.
Mm-hmm.
So if people have assembled on a war field to fight, what will they do? They'll fight.
Correct. He wants to know, but what are they doing?
But still he's asking, having assembled, what are they doing?
I see.
See, the understanding here is, his mind is divided. One side of him is thinking, is wondering. That's why he's using the word very cautiously. Dharma kshetre, kurukshetre.
That's again very interesting combination of words, isn't it?
Yes. So he's concerned that Kurukshetra is a dharma kshetra also.
I see.
So under the influence of the dharma kshetra, he's concerned that his own sons, Duryodhana and party, might go for a compromise.
Oh, I see.
And he doesn't like it. He wants the fight to happen.
Oh, is it?
And he's concerned that the dharma kshetra might influence his own sons to compromise,
Mm-hmm.
or dharma kshetra might influence the Pandavas to become more powerful. So he's concerned what's happening. Did they really fight or not?
I see.
And that's why he's asking this question to Sanjaya, what did they do? Another very interesting thing in this particular verse is, he uses the word Mamaka Pandavaschaiva. I think you noted it when I explained this, right?
Yes.
So,
My children and Pandu's children.
Pandu's children. See, the point here is, even, you're from Varanasi?
I'm from Varanasi.
Varanasi,
Yes, yes.
You know much better than me, because in North India, I observed myself that joint family system is quite prevalent even
Yes.
till date.
Yes.
So in joint families, correct me if I'm wrong, even your father's elder brother, you kind of address him as a father only.
Absolutely. Elder father side.
Yeah, isn't it?
Bade Papa.
Bade Papa.
Bade Papa.
So
Yes.
the word Papa is used.
Correct.
Bade Papa. And obviously the Bade Papa also considers everybody to be his children, his own children and the children of his brothers also.
Yes.
It's like a joint family system. Now we are speaking about 5,000 years ago, when it was like one family. See, Dhritarashtra and Pandu, they're brothers.
Correct.
And Pandus are also, from another perspective, Dhritarashtra's children. And this is from a joint family system. And added to that, because Pandu died untimely, Dhritarashtra was officially the caregiver of the Pandavas.
Yes. Added responsibility.
Added responsibility.
Official responsibility.
Officially.
Yes.
And it was like, he was duty bound to look upon the Pandavas as his own children. But nonetheless, this is that dubious mentality of Dhritarashtra that becomes very evident in this particular verse. He divides his children, saying that Mamaka Pandavaschaiva.
That's right.
My sons and the sons of Pandu.
Pandus. Yes.
So, from the Gita's philosophy perspective, such a mentality is called Dvandva.
Okay.
Dvandva.
Okay.
See, the nature, the hallmark of a conditioned mind, of a mind which is materialistic, is to divide.
Oh, I see. It's not the mind which is divided. The mind wants to divide.
The mind wants to divide.
I see.
The materialistic mind, whatever you give it, it tends to divide. You give it the entire world. And the mind will divide the entire world into friendly countries, enemy countries. Within your own country, is it that everybody is your friend?
No.
No. Again, the materialistic mind will divide. These sections are your friends, these sections are your enemies. Now, this mentality trickles down even to the level of society, even to the level of your family.
The smallest microcosm.
Yeah.
Yes.
From the macro level to the micro level. Within your neighborhood, maybe within your housing society, we tend to think in terms of
mine and someone else's.
Yeah. We tend to think in terms of these families in my neighborhood are my friends. These families are my enemies.
Correct. Very true.
Isn't it?
Very true.
And even within the own family, the tendency is to divide. These relatives are friends. These relatives are enemies.
Correct.
So it's not that enemies and friends are outside. The enemies and friends are created by one's own mind. A selfish mind, a mind that is following the dictates of one's ahankar or the ego, tends to divide the world into friends and enemies.
Got it.
People who kind of favor and support my selfish interests, they're my
Mine.
friends.
They're mine.
They're mine. They're my friends.
Correct.
And people who don't support my selfish interests,
They're Pandus still.
yeah, they are my enemies.
Correct.
So this is a tendency of the mind to divide. Though this mentality is called dvandva. Right? See, I need to give a clarification here. So I'm not meaning to say here that people who are harming you, you shouldn't kind of safeguard yourself, right? But to look upon people as friends or enemies, that's a tendency that we need to overcome. See, even when Arjuna was fighting on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, somebody might ask the question, wasn't Arjuna considering the Kauravas to be his enemies? See, at one level, yes, from the perspective of labeling them as enemies, you can label them as enemies. But then, Arjuna's consciousness after hearing the Bhagavad Gita was that he stopped dividing the world in terms of friends and enemies. From his perspective, he had to do the needful, something he had to do so that the society would be benefited and even the Kauravas themselves would be benefited. Externally, he might be killing the Kauravas, but internally, he had no tinge of hatred towards them. It's like a doctor. A doctor, when a doctor performs surgery, the doctor is using knives and all sharp instruments, but within his heart, there is kindness and compassion.
Correct.
Externally, it might look, he's drawing blood from that person. He's cutting off the parts of his body. You can't go by the externals. What is the consciousness of that person?
Yes.
So externally, the doctor might be cutting the different parts, but the internal consciousness is, I'm doing all this for the benefit of the patient.
Yes. That's the subtle difference, really.
That's the difference here.
Correct.
So the same knife could be in the hands of a thief, of a dacoit. But that fellow, the dacoit, really means harm. But the doctor
does not mean harm.
He doesn't mean
He's doing it for the good.
Good. So similarly, apparently it will look that even Arjuna, after having freed himself from the dvandva, see, from that perspective, the Gita, it begins with the problem, which Dhritarashtra states. Inadvertently, he states the problem of a materialistic mind. The tendency of the materialistic mind to divide the world into friends and enemies.
Yes.
And the solution is given in the Bhagavad Gita. So wherever in the Bhagavad Gita there is any mention of a person who is spiritually advanced, this is a repeating theme. Dvandva tito vimatsaraha, it's explained. A spiritually advanced person is dvandva tita, is beyond the duality, beyond the dvandva of this world.
I see.
So the problem, which is the root cause of a materialistic mind, is stated inadvertently by Dhritarashtra, and the solution
is over the 18
in the entire Bhagavad Gita. So having heard the entire Bhagavad Gita, the first person who has heard the Bhagavad Gita, who is Arjuna, he became freed from that dvandva. So when he was fighting subsequently, he was doing the needful, just like a surgeon.
Correct.
And the Kauravas were like cancer. See, in this first verse of the Gita also it is explained, right? Kurukshetra. Kshetra is like a field.
Yes.
Dharma kshetra, Kurukshetra. Kshetra is like a field. So in a field, for the crops to grow properly, you need to remove the weeds.
Correct. Yes.
When the weeds are removed, the crops can grow in a healthy way. So similarly, on the surface of the earth, the Kauravas had emerged as weeds.
Oh, I see.
And they were not helping society to flourish properly, materially and spiritually. And so that society could flourish healthily, both materially and spiritually, Arjuna, as a responsibility, as a dutiful farmer, he kind of uprooted the weeds, but with no hatred.
Correct.
Because he was freed from the duality.
He needed to do it. That is what the whole topic is about.
Yes,
right?
yes, absolutely. So this is the first verse of the Bhagavad Gita, so to speak.
Okay, so then let's progress after that, what really happens?
Yeah. So Dhritarashtra asks this question to Sanjay, and then Sanjay starts speaking.
Sanjay explains very vividly what is happening on both sides of the battlefield.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yes. So the second verse is spoken by Sanjaya, right? Text number 2. Sanjay Uvacha, Drashtva tu Pandavanīkam vyūಢam Duryodhanastada Acharyam upasangamya Raja vachanam abravīt. So Sanjay is explaining to Dhritarashtra what is happening on the war field.
Mm-hmm.
He says that when Duryodhan, he sees the two, armies on both sides.
Yeah.
As an intelligent diplomat, he walks towards his guru.
Mm-hmm. That is Duryodhan walking to his guru.
Duryodhan is walking towards Dronacharya.
Mm-hmm.
This is the second verse. Drishtva tu Pandavanikam. Okay. And then he starts speaking to Dronacharya. So what he speaks to Dronacharya is explained in the subsequent verses. In text number 3, it is explained. Now, Duryodhana is speaking to Dronacharya in this particular verse. Oh, my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupada.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, Duryodhana's mentality closely resembles the mentality of his father Dhritarashtra here.
Yeah. You should explain the subtlety in this verse also interestingly.
Yeah. See, materialistic mentality is when you are confronted with a problem, you tend to manipulate within the materialistic level to overcome the problem.
Mm.
See, I don't know whether you have read this very interesting book called Start with the Why by Simon Sinek.
Yes, of course.
Yes. So he says that there are two kinds of advertisements. If you remember, he gives an example there. Like, for example, Apple, during the time of Steve Jobs, their advertisement, it started with the why.
Yeah.
So, and other advertisements, he says, of other organizations, it was more manipulation. It doesn't really address the root needs of people.
Correct.
Isn't it? So similarly, when Duryodhana's mentality is more materialistic, and so when confronted with a problem, his tendency is to manipulate the people around him. So here he is going to manipulate Dronacharya. That's his mentality. But actually the approach that is recommended in the Bhagavad Gita is, when confronted with a problem, go to the root cause of the problem. Think in terms of...
Don't go around it and try and manipulate the situation.
Don't go around it. Rise above it. When you rise above it, you'll be able to see the problem in perspective, and you will be able to find a more effective solution for it.
More holistic solution.
Solution.
Appropriate solution. So what was his intent in going to Dronacharya?
See, Dronacharya, here in this particular verse, it becomes very clear, right? He says, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by an intelligent disciple, the son of Drupada.
Correct.
Now, he's pointing out to Dronacharya that you have been doing a lot of mistakes in the past. And this was one of the biggest blunders of Dronacharya. Dronacharya, he knew that the son of Drupada, Drishtadyumna, was born to kill him.
I see.
And after, Drupada had conducted a fire yagya to create a son with the express purpose of killing Dronacharya.
Yes.
So it's a legendary, argument, or what do you call it? Difference of opinion between Drupada and Dronacharya, which is explained in the Mahabharata.
Correct. Maybe if you can spend 2 minutes on that argument.
Okay.
Yes. It was an interesting one. How two friends, close friends, then, go away, really.
Yeah. See, in the Vedic times, children of kings, children of simple brahmanas, they all went to the same school.
Really, yes. Very interesting concept in those Vedic times.
Yes. See, even children, the kings didn't allow the wealth to get into their children's head early in life. They wanted their children to be very grounded.
Correct. Correct.
And especially, it shouldn't get mixed with education. So, everybody went to the same school. So, Dronacharya, who was the son of a poor Brahmana, and Drupada, who was a prince at that time, they went to the same Gurukula. And they became friends.
Very close friends, right?
They became very close friends. So, in a fit of friendship, Drupada said that, I know that you're coming from a more poor background. In the future, because I am a king, you can always come to me.
Whenever you want.
Whenever you want.
Yes. And ask me anything.
You can ask me anything.
Yeah.
So Dronacharya, he was, a respectable Brahmana. After he grew up, he didn't really think about bothering Drupada unnecessarily. But then, something happens in his household that his son Ashwatthama is crying for milk. And he feels that, why can't I provide some milk to my son? That's like the basic need. Can't I provide that much? And then he remembers that I've got a wealthy friend in Drupada.
King Drupada.
The king Drupada.
Yes.
So I think this is the right time to go and approach him. And so he goes, and I don't exactly remember the details, but I think he told the gatekeeper that tell the king that his friend has come.
Yeah.
And when the gatekeeper goes inside and tells that the friend has come, and then Drupada realizes it's Dronacharya who has come to meet him. Suddenly Drupada's his entire demeanor has changed by now. And he insults Dronacharya. How dare you profess yourselves to be my friend?
Friend, yes. You are a poor Brahmin.
You are a poor
How
Brahmin.
can you be my friend?
How can you be my friend? Right? And Dronacharya was extremely insulted. Even if Drupada wouldn't have helped him, maybe Dronacharya wouldn't have minded. But here it was like a blatant...
Derogatory.
Very derogatory.
Very derogatory.
Very
yes.
derogatory. So Dronacharya had this revengeful mentality within him. And then, providentially, he became the guru of the Kurus and the Pandavas. The Kauravas and the Pandavas, the Kuru dynasty. He became the guru of the children of the Kuru dynasty. And he taught them, Dhanurvidya. And when they were ready, when it was time for them to give the Guru Dakshina. At that time, Dronacharya said, as Guru Dakshina, you can capture Drupada and bring him to me.
Okay.
So, the Kauravas, they couldn't do it, but Arjuna could do it.
Oh, I see.
And Drupada was bound and brought in front of Dronacharya. Now, Drupada had lost his kingdom now. And now, Arjuna has won the kingdom for Dronacharya, his guru. So, Dronacharya gets back at Drupada. He says that now,
I'll show you.
You are in a position where I was earlier, and now I am in a position where you were earlier.
Right.
So, I have swapped positions. Now, I release you.
Oh, okay.
As a mercy, I release you.
I see.
So, the story should have ended there, but it's the nature of Kshatriya that they can't handle insults, right? So, Drupada thought, I've been insulted in a big way now. So, to take revenge on Dronacharya, he conducts a fire yajna. And a son is born out of it called Drishtadyumna.
Yes.
And everybody knows that he is born to kill Dronacharya. Nonetheless, Drupada sends him to take education under Dronacharya.
Oh, wow.
See that?
Wheels within wheels.
Yes. See, in the Vedic system, a Brahmana is never supposed to reject. If a qualified person comes, you are not meant to reject a qualified person from education. See, money was never a consideration during those days.
Correct.
Education was separate from all monetary.
Absolutely.
So, Dronacharya, like an ideal teacher,
gives him all the trades.
All the secrets of military training he gives. Knowing well that this person is
ultimately going to kill me. And that is what, this guy is, Duryodhan is sort of taunting
him. You have done that mistake once.
Correct.
See, he's concerned. Duryodhan is concerned that Dronacharya, he is like feeble-minded kind of a person, a kind of sentimental person. And he knows that Dronacharya is very partial towards the Pandavas and especially towards Arjun.
Arjuna, yes.
So he doesn't want that partial mentality of Dronacharya to affect the battle.
Correct.
So he's giving a subtle hint to Dronacharya
So
here.
charging him.
Charging him up.
Yes.
Reminding him of his mistakes.
Correct.
So that he doesn't repeat any mistakes again. He doesn't do any mistakes again. Because of his sentimental mentality.
Sure.
Correct?
Sure.
So in this way he speaks this particular verse, Dronacharya. And then he goes further, speaking about here in this army are many heroic bowmen equal in fighting to Bhima and Arjun. He's pointing to the army of the Pandavas. Great fighters like Yudhana, Virata and Drupad. There are also great heroic, powerful fighters like Drishtaketu, Chekitana, Kashiraja, Purujit, Kuntibhoja and Shaibhya. There are the mighty Yudhamanyu, the very powerful Uttamauja, the sons of Subhadra and the sons of Draupadi. All these warriors are great chariot fighters. So he is describing the great warriors on
both sides.
On both sides
Correct.
now. And now he is explaining the warriors on the side of the Kauravas. But for your information, he's telling Dronacharya, O best of the Brahmanas, let me tell you about the captains who are especially qualified to lead my military force. There are personalities like you. See, again, the diplomacy of Duryodhana. See, it is explained that the world is a reflection of your own state of consciousness. Now, Duryodhana is extremely egoistic. So he's assuming that even Dronacharya will be egoistic. So he mentions his name first, right? So there are a lot of...
So giving them importance
yes,
right at the beginning.
Showing importance.
To boost the ego.
Yes, to boost the ego. There are personalities like you, Bhishma, Karna, Krupa, Ashwatthama, Vikarna, and the son of Somadatta called Bhurishrava, who are always victorious in battle. There are many other heroes who are prepared to lay down their lives for my sake. All of them are well equipped with different kinds of weapons and all are experienced in military science. Our strength is immeasurable and we are perfectly protected by grandfather Bhishma, whereas the strength of the Pandavas, carefully protected by Bhima, is limited. So as this conversation is going on, it is explained that Duryodhana is speaking to Dronacharya. Meanwhile, a lot of other people also come and assemble.
I see.
Just to see what's going on here. So Bhishma is amongst them.
Okay.
Now, Duryodhana is trying to speak certain words to...
subtle message to the others also.
The others also, wants to encourage others also. So here he uses the word. He makes this point here. Our strength is immeasurable and we are perfectly protected by grandfather Bhishma. He's seeing Bhishma there. So he's making this point. Whereas the strength of the Pandavas, carefully protected by Bhima, is limited. All of you must now give full support to grandfather Bhishma as you stand at your respective strategic points of entrance into the phalanx of the army. Now Bhishma, he understands that Duryodhana is feeling a subtle kind of fear here, right? Because he didn't expect this kind of phalanx that the Pandavas have
managed to get together.
So he's kind of little perturbed and he's trying to cover up also here. Duryodhana is trying to cover up his fear by speaking boastful words.
And maybe there is a subtle fear that Bhishma may, subconsciously side with the
that's
Pandavas.
also there, yes.
Yeah.
All these things are there.
Correct.
A lot of mixed feelings are, the Duryodhana is going through. So in order to, and Bhishma realizes here that he needs to give some encouragement to his grandson, Duryodhana. So in the next verse it's explained. This text number 12. Then Bhishma, the great valiant grandsire of the Kuru dynasty, the grandfather of the fighters, blew his conch shell very loudly, making a sound like the roar of a lion, giving Duryodhana joy. Right? See, Bhishma, by blowing his conch shell, one thing that he did was encouraging Duryodhana. Simultaneously, blowing of the conch shell indicated the fighting of the war also, right? And taking the cue from Bhishma, everyone else starts blowing their conch shells. After that, the conch shells, drums, bugles, trumpets and horns were all suddenly sounded and the combined sound was tumultuous. And now in text number 14, Krishna and Arjuna make their entry.
I see.
Okay. Text number 40. Ata shveter hayer yukte mahati syandane stitau madavah pandavaschaiva divyau shanko pradadmatuhu. On the other side, both Lord Krishna and Arjun, stationed on a great chariot drawn by white horses, sounded their transcendental conscience.
And this is still Sanjay explaining to Dhritarashtra.
Everything is explained by Sanjaya to Dhritarashtra here, right? So, Divyau Shankho. So, Vyasadeva, who is the author, makes it a point to give that qualifier to Arjuna's
Subtle message.
this is Divya, right? Because they're on the side of Dharma. So, Divyau Shankho Pradadmatuhu, right? And then, Panchajanyam Rishikesho Devadattam Dhananjaya Poundram Dadmo Mahashankam Bhima Karma Vrkodhara. Lord Krishna blew his conch shell called Panchajanya. Arjuna blew his the Devadatta. And Bhima, the voracious eater and performer of Herculean tasks, blew his terrific conch shell called Poundra. And King Yudhishthir, the son of Kunti, blew his conch shell, the Ananta Vijaya. And Nakula and Sahadev blew the Sughosha and Manipushpaka. That great archer, the king of Kashi, the great fighter Shikhandi, Drishtadyumna, Virata, the unconquerable Satyaki, Drupada, the sons of Draupadi and others of king, such as the mighty armed son of Subhadra, all blew the respective conch shells. The blowing of these different conch shells became uproarious, vibrating both in the sky and on the earth. It shattered the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra. So,
earlier, just a small one. Earlier, when Duryodhan was, talking to Dronacharya, he mentioned about his army, and he mentioned about the other side as Bhima's army only. Any message in that? Any subtlety in that?
see,
Why would he mention the other side as Bhima army, not Yudhishthira's army, not Arjun's army?
because Bhima was on top of his mind.
I see.
See, for Duryodhan's enmity was primarily against Bhima.
Yeah.
If you know the background of the Mahabharata.
Correct.
So, in a stressful situation, the things
overpowering consideration is Bhima.
He's the top consideration for him,
Correct.
Bhima. So that's why the name of Bhima features on top here more than anybody else.
Okay.
And he was aware of the vows taken by Bhima, that he had taken a vow to kill the Kauravas, all the 100 children of Dhritarashtra, and being aware of it, he was conscious of it, and that's why his name features in the front. And also, these verses, which speaks about the blowing of conch shells and the scene on the warfield of Kurukshetra, from one level they're setting the scene, but if you look a little closer, they give us a hint about the glory of the Vedic culture. Shall I explain it?
Yes, please.
See,
and glory in terms of things it values and things it tells us probably not to value.
Yeah, let me explain.
Yes.
See, I was seeing this TED talk by Tony Robbins. He's a motivational speaker in the West. So he speaks about human needs. Human needs. For any human being to feel a sense of contentment, happiness, and things like that, to feel fulfilled, what are the human needs? So he says that the first human need is a need for certainty. Right? For example, we are sitting in this particular room. You need to be certain that this
house, food, basic needs.
Yes,
basic needs are there.
See, certainty has to be there. If you don't have a place to stay, then you will be anxiety ridden.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't have a fixed job, you'll be anxiety ridden.
Correct.
See, you need to have certain financial backing, right? Certain things have to be certain.
Correct.
But and then after having mentioned the need for certainty, the next need that he mentions is the need for uncertainty.
Oh, okay.
See, if everything is certain in life, what will happen?
What's the fun?
What's the fun of life, isn't it?
Yeah. What to look forward to?
What to look forward to?
Correct.
Life becomes boring. So the need of certainty has to be balanced by the need for uncertainty, right? Now, this is a very delicate balance here. The amount of uncertainty that is there in your life should be within the boundaries of certainty. See, if the uncertainty in your life exceeds certainty, then it will lead to negative emotions.
Correct.
But if the uncertainty is within the boundaries of certainty, then it leads to positive emotions.
Correct.
It's like even in sports, for that matter.
Absolutely. If there is too much uncertainty, you'll always be anxious. What will happen?
What will
happen?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
See, in the game of cricket, for example, the game of cricket is bound by certainty. What things are certain in a game of cricket? The rules.
Okay.
The rules of the game. And those rules have to be strictly followed for the game to be enjoyable.
Yes.
But within that boundary of certainty, there is plenty of uncertainty. Each ball is uncertain.
Yeah.
And through this healthy combination of certainty and uncertainty, the game becomes enjoyable.
Yeah, exciting.
Exciting. If there is no certainty, if there is only uncertainty, there is no fun in the game.
Correct. Then what are you looking at? What are you watching? It's like saying, I know the score is going to be 100 at the end. So why would you watch it? Really?
Yeah. So it has to be a healthy blend of uncertainty and certainty. And if you think about it, every aspect of the Vedic culture was designed in such a way that this balance of certainty and uncertainty was met.
I see.
Very nicely. I'll give the example of the institution of Vivaha Sanskar, for example. So this is a very integral part of Vedic society, marriage, right? So Vivaha Sanskar, there was elaborate rituals. One of the purpose of these elaborate rituals was to impress upon the mind that this is a serious business.
Yeah. Yes.
And it is a lifelong commitment.
Correct. The vow is a lifelong commitment. Yes.
It's a serious vow.
Absolutely.
You understand that. And so, through the Vivaha Sanskar, both husband and wife have it at the back of their mind that this relationship is certain. This person is going to remain with me for the rest of my life.
Correct.
Both of them know.
And there are so many witnesses around.
Around.
Yes.
Right? The entire village and so many relatives are celebrating it together. So it creates an atmosphere of certainty of that relationship. And within that certain relationship, whenever there are quarrels, it adds to the spice of life. You are a married person, you know better than me, isn't it?
That's why you don't need too much uncertainty. It must be a balance.
So, within that certainty...
You know, in Gujarati, we say, Chach mein namak ya namak mein chach.
It's a very beautiful example again.
So, some amount of namak in chach is good.
Good.
You know.
Good.
But namak, and in that you put chach, more of namak and less of chach is bad.
It's bad. So, without that boundary of certainty, what will happen is even a small amount of argument between husband and wife puts them in tremendous anxiety otherwise, if there is no certainty in that relationship.
Sure.
So when that uncertainty is made sure through the Vivaha Sanskar, then uncertainty adds to the joy.
Sure.
It's like the pinch of salt within the chas you're talking about. Right. It adds to the taste of the chas.
Yes.
But if the salt is too much or the chas is too little, then what will happen is it will be a very bad taste.
Bitter. Yeah. That causes bitterness. Right?
Bitterness,
yes.
Right? Yeah. So similarly, see, every aspect of Vedic culture was to balance this certainty and uncertainty, and even down to the level of a war field. So even on a war field, this balance of certainty and uncertainty was maintained.
I see.
For example, here on this war field, what's happening here is everybody is blowing their conches. And the rule was, unless everybody blows their conches, the war won't begin.
Okay.
That absolute certainty is there. So and then there are other rules which the Kshatriyas followed. Enemy who is unarmed, unwilling, or trying to run away from the war field, you can't attack such a person. So within those certain rules, when a war was fought, it was like a sporting event.
Correct.
So it's just like in the Olympics.
Yeah.
In the Olympics, when there is an Olympics tournament, so many countries on their own, they come to participate in it. Because it's fun. So similarly, when the war was announced between the Kauravas and the Pandavas, people from all over the world, they were looking forward to this fighting tournament. See, when you have such a scenario, then even the Kshatriyas, they're in a sporting spirit. It's a sportive tournament. War is a sportive tournament, and the human need for certainty and uncertainty is met even on a war field. And then in Tony Robbins' talk, he speaks about the need for significance. The need for significance was met on a war field also. See, in these verses, it is explained. Even the consuls are given names.
Yes, yes.
So when you call somebody by a name, you're showing significant
Importance.
to that particular person. So the Vedic culture was such that even inanimate objects on a war field were given significance. What to speak of animate human beings, right? And then another human need that he mentions is the need for contribution. So people had assembled there to contribute towards the cause of dharma. So in this way, how beautifully, now the war field is the last place wherein you can expect human needs to be met. But the Vedic culture was so wonderful and sophisticated that even on a war field, the human needs were met. So this kind of highlights the glory of the Vedic culture, the Vedic civilization.
Correct.
So in the next verses, we'll see what happens after this happens.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah, that was great for starters. And all of us look forward to the next session.
Thank you very much. And you have been a wonderful host.
Thank you.
Thank you.